Folks, welcome to your Friday episode of So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. This is your pal Ryan. We have made it to the end of the week. My goodness gracious. Crack a cold one and let's enjoy this together today as a family. We are recapping The Valley. And we're going to do two episodes because I missed episode 4. So we'll do a brief. Let's see if I can keep anything brief. We'll do a brief because a lot of things happened in 4. There was a lot of mischief, and then we'll go into 5. And the only thing that I'm thinking about this entire time is Brittany revealing that one time she uh, uh, pooped in the water and stingrays ate it. Is it worth? Is it worth the money to ever reveal something like that? Oh, you got don't even get it. I poopied, and my husband Jax, he watched it. I pooped all. I killed a bunch of stingrays. Goodness. Woo! Hee-haw. Oh my God! I keep going, and that's. I mean, I will say that's bravery. That's brave. That's bravery. She should be saluted. I would never be as brave. I literally, there's a story out there where I poopied in front of a bunch of deers, and I would never tell you that. What what does it come? But those are the moments in reality shows that we love, right? Where I'm like, holy shit! Like, I guess we all have a poopy stingray story somewhere. It's just that we're not on TV and we don't tell. Now that I'm thinking about it, I've actually told some wild stories. This pod. I have nothing to talk. I cannot say anything. How the heck are you guys doing? Are you good? Are you good? How is the family okay? Are you doing good? Do you got plans for this weekend? Did you stay up all night listening to old T Swift? I'm talking to you guys. I want to be cracking open to listen to that Taylor Swift album, The Tortured Poets Department, aka So Bad It's Good, and I'm talking with you guys, which I'm glad to be here talking. But man, I want to get my ears on that thing. Also, the new Pearl Jam album. Poor Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam has a new album that comes out. It's like, hey, it is funny, right? As musicians get older, it's very interesting. I'm going to go see Fish, the jam band Fish at the Sphere this weekend in Vegas, and I'm really excited about that. But it is interesting. The state of music is so fascinating, and I love fandom. And Taylor Swift fandom is so insane. I love when people get really excited about things, but it is interesting when you are at the top spot like Taylor is, arguably the number one. Well, I mean, is it tied really between her and Beyonce? I love both of them dearly, but both just so vastly different. But it's interesting when you are that high up, people really do look for you to fall. You just get a wave of people that are almost upset that you are popular and getting attention. And there's a critical eye that I think deserves to be placed on people that are that high up. But it's going to be interesting. I'm really curious to see if there is any kind of backlash with this album. I have yet to listen to it, so I don't know, but I've already been kind of reading things. And it seems like, the vibe check I sometimes get when I get online is that people want to hate it. People want to hate this thing. And, Courtney Love, I was talking about, we did a Patreon live. Hey, baddies, what up? We had a great time in the Patreon live, and we talked. Somebody brought up Courtney Love. Courtney Love from the band Hole used to be married to Kurt Cobain. Courtney Love, a legend in her own right. She did an interview this week, and she talked about the state of music and about Taylor Swift. And this is very Courtney Love, but she slammed Taylor Swift. So these are a couple of quotes from the Courtney Love interview with the Evening Standard in the UK. It says, "It's great that there are so many successful women in the music industry, but lots of them are becoming a cliche. Now every successful woman is cloned, so there is just too much music. They're all the same. If you play something on Spotify, you get bombarded with a lot of stuff that's exactly the same. I mean, I like the idea of Beyonce doing a country record because it's about Black women going into spaces where previously only white women have been allowed. Not that I like it much. As a concept, I love it. I just don't like her music." The honesty. Taylor, she says, is not important. Taylor is not important. Oh my God. Whew. It's like a salmon rush. I mean, she might be a safe space for girls, and she's probably the Madonna of now, but she's not interesting as an artist. I Then she started speaking about Madonna, and she said, "I don't like her, and she doesn't like me. I loved the movie Desperately Seeking Susan, but for the city of New York as much as her." It's just. She also commented on Lana Del Rey, who's going to be the headliner at Coachella Weekend 2 tomorrow night or tonight. She says, "I haven't liked Lana since she covered a John Denver song, and I think she should really take 7 years off. Up until Take Me Home Country Road, I thought she was great. When I was recording my new album, I had to stop listening to her as much I had to stop listening to her as she was influencing me too much." So Courtney Love is never want to really share her real thoughts. But I mean, these are fighting words. But it's interesting. I feel like quotes like this kind of drive, like somebody like Taylor will hear this and be like, okay, you don't think I'm interesting? And work her ass off. I mean, I don't know. I think that kind of motivates Taylor. You think about like Kanye West and that whole era that, yeah, ooh, man, I just think it's interesting. Backlash on anything, so I'm really curious to hear what I think about it. I'm curious to hear what other people think about it, but it's exciting. I love fandom. I love it, but when something goes up and so high up, it is bound to come down at some point. So it's really interesting. And I think Taylor really genuinely likes making pop music that hits charts. Beyonce does not seem as concerned with hitting the charts in the same way. Like she is truly, I feel like, experimenting in different genres and musical styles. But at the same time, what I hate about this quote, the one thing I hated about this quote, because I agreed with a lot of it, it says every successful woman is cloned and there is just too much music. They're all the same. And I would actually even go like, I don't think, why do you have to target women? I think it could just be music in general. You go on Spotify now. I used to love, and one of my big pet peeves about Spotify is I'm an album listener. Like I want to listen front to back of any album, and I try to listen to one album a day. Like I'm OCD about it, and if I take a day off or if something happens or I'm depressed, I will try to hit two albums the next day. So it can be when I'm working, just going around, I'll just listen to an album. But I will say there is so much music right now that sometimes you don't know where to start. And then on top of it, you have like the TikTok music that like that's pushed so hard. So you get like this segmented thing, even though there is so much to choose from and you don't know where to start. But what I don't like about Spotify sometimes is that they'll put all the new releases, they'll have singles and albums in the same space, if that makes sense. So you won't know if it's a new album or just a song by an artist. And albums don't mean nearly as much as they once did. Like people now, musical artists will almost release just a series of singles instead of a whole album. And that frustrates me because I still want to believe in the album as a concept. That's why I love like Beyonce's rollout for Cowboy Carter or Taylor Swift's rollout where they actually make it a production. And a lot of artists, of course, do not have the bandwidth, the money, or anything to be able to do it the way those ladies are doing it. But I still want to believe in the power of an album. And maybe these are just maybe these are just old things that we have grown so accustomed to that I don't want to let go of. That I'm like, no, this is what I'm used to as a kid, and I do not want to see it go the way of the dodo bird. We have to be potentially open to change, but I love the thought of an album, a piece of art, a piece of work. A book is a book. It's a whole thing. It's something that you can hold in your hand. It's something, streaming is fine, but there is something so I think elegant and amazing still about holding something in your hand. Physical media. We always talk about magazines and how much I miss my entertainment weeklies, my Us weeklies, my Premiere magazine. There's something so magical about holding something, feeling the weight of that. For me, just magic that an iPad or something, and I do all of those things, but there is just something that will never be able to compare for me. But I mean, kids out there that didn't have growing up with that kind of magic, it doesn't matter to them. So it's us, it's me and you, gentle listener, that we remember these things. And sometimes we are tortured by them because we are chained to the past and we have to open our minds. But I sometimes think the old way is sometimes the better way. Old man shakes his fist at the sky. Folks, my birthday is next week, and I must be having a crisis of conscience or something. I must be going through something because I have been so sentimental this week. Not just in my life, but in reality shows. Like I watch The Valley, I get sentimental watching Kristen Doty call herself an empath. I'm like, oh, classic Doty. Of course you're an empath. My God, you're Buddha. Are you kidding me? Mother Teresa, Buddha, the Pope, all of that in one is thy Kristen Doty. It's so enjoyable. Oh, also, I was on a couple podcasts this week. Pink Shade with Mary Payne Gilbert, so go check that out. That was a really fun episode. And also today, Shenanigans with Sheena Shea and Kiki Talk of Shame. I hope that I hope you guys enjoy that. Yeah, I hope you enjoy that. So did I already ask how you? Sorry, I didn't really plan on talking about music. So now my head is in just thinking about music right now. You know, I'm going overseas to see Taylor Swift in like a month. And I haven't been overseas in I mean, years and years and years and years. But the Watch What Crappens guys are going to be there too. So I think we're going to potentially meet up, which I'm so excited about. I mean, being able to see Taylor and the Watch What Crappens guy and this, I mean, like that's magic. I mean, listen, I hope Watch What Crappens opens up for Taylor Swift. How magical would that be, friends? Man, I wish I could just go off and just talk about nonsense and just jibber jab with you, but we got a job to do. We got to get to the Valley. So we got 2 episodes for you today that we got to find a way to cover. We have the Valley episode 4 called Capri Chaos. Jesse and Michelle deal with the aftermath of their Capri themed dinner party. And then episode 5, the D word. And the show description for that is the ladies retreat to Malibu for a girls' night. Michelle opens up to Brittany. So those are the 2 episodes we're going to cover, but we're going to go really quick on episode 4. So let's dive into this. Where we had left off at the end of episode 3 was we had the dinner where Michelle and Jesse Lally, by the way, I have found out that they are not back together. They are still separated. And of course, the big mystery of this week is who is this movie director that the men are talking about in the pool that potentially Michelle has had a dalliance with? Who knows? We will talk about that. But the Capri Chaos starts off with the fight where we ended on episode 3, where it brought Doty, you know, the stuff from her past with Faith. It got brought back up because the inciting incident of this entire season is Doty, when they were like talking about something else, all of a sudden threw out that Janet with Zach talked about Michelle potentially being double R, racist and Republican. And so this is the big dinner where we're supposed to have this gigantic confrontation and start trying to make heads or tails of what is going on here. And the thing is, this is why this show is truly amazing, is we never get to the bottom of it. In fact, we kind of just like it gets off the actual incident that we're talking about, and we just start talking about like Doty and how dare Doty bring like the actual thing that they're talking about never gets talked about. Like what is the deal? Where did this come from? Like was it just like this game of LOL, like Janet like texting people and going, "Oh, watch out, I bet LOL that she's this and this." Was it just innocuous or was it something deeper? But it's interesting. That's like completely left by the wayside. We don't get into, and thank God, the politics of it all, but it's interesting. The big now thing is Doty, that she brought this up. And Michelle is furious with Kristen Doty, furious. In fact, so furious, she finally gets a pulse and stands up and totally turns on her husband, who is literally, like I said, Jax Taylor is in awe of the douchebaggery that Jesse Lally presents on screen. Jax is like, I've been doing this for a while, and this guy is outshining me in terms of douchebaggery. How did this happen? I am getting upstaged by this man on my show. So that's where we start off. And Luke, man, he's quiet but deadly, man. He's quiet but deadly. He's like, Kristen, we leave now. He's always kind of like, I'm very soft spoken. I do, Kristen. I'm just really happy to be here. I've got a lot of acreage. Everything's really good. And then when shit goes down, he's like, Kristen, let's go right now. Let's go. Let's go right now, Kristen. And I got to tell you, that's probably a huge turnout for Doty. This guy is not afraid to throw down. So they're all at this dinner party and just kind of chaos is in. I mean, Michelle gets up and she's like, I am Mexican. I am Persian. And Doty is just like, I can't I can't believe it. All because of him. And points at Zach Wickham. And Zach, his hair is just growing past his eyes in fear. And he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What are we talking about here? Come on. No, no, no. I didn't do that. Please. No. And the Doty's like, Michelle, I couldn't be more sorry. And she's like, I'm sorry. And then she's like, I'm sorry I raised my voice. And Michelle in a talking head says, I feel like an asshole that I have to say that I'm not racist because a crazy person didn't want to feel attacked anymore. So she decided to attack me. Michelle, all I have to say about this is welcome to reality television. I hope you have a good stay. It's not looking good so far because Michelle Lally seems like she came in with a potential secret. She's one of those people that we talk about that after watching these episodes, you can tell her relationship is in such disrepair, like it's not going to last, where she's one of those people that potentially agreed to go on a reality show just so she could potentially leave her husband and feel supported by a nation of Bravo viewers. Because I think we all see that, yeah, this ain't working. I know you have a beautiful child. I know all of that stuff, but yeah, she has completely checked out. But also there seems to be, and this is what's interesting, we find out in the next scene where Doty texts Michelle Lally and says, hey, don't worry. Just because all of this happened, I'm going to still be able to keep your secret. I'm not going to try to get back at you. And the husband, Jesse's like, what is she referring to? And Michelle's like, I don't know. Hey, I don't know, buddy. Your guess is as good as mine, even though she knows. So obviously Doty knows whatever has gone on, potentially, allegedly, with Michelle and this movie director. So Doty, Detective Doty, sitting on all the info. And she's not, but this is, oh God, you guys, it's so good because we're watching somebody not wanting their secret to be pulled into the light, almost a little bit how I felt with Kyle Richards this season on Beverly Hills, where she was like, let's talk about the esophagus. No, I don't want to talk about anything going on with my marriage or Morgan Wade. I'm Morgan. I don't want to talk about, so this is what is truly interesting is to Michelle trying to take Doty down in this scene, knowing that Doty could potentially take her down. I mean, this is all speculation, but there seems to be like, if we can discredit Doty, we might not be able to have to reveal a deep, dark secret. And by the way, I don't think anybody watching would, obviously it's bad to see other people while you're married, obviously, but I don't think anybody would, but I think people would kind of get it. Like they'd understand. They'd be like, yeah, you guys don't seem like you belong. It seems like maybe the magic isn't going to be able to come back. But it is interesting. This dinner party, though, everybody, it's just been a while. It's like watching a performance by Kristen Doty. I would imagine it's like watching Billy Joel. You're like, wow, what an artist. What? Holy shit. He's playing piano, man. It's just, even Jax looks just like Mr. Jax has kept quiet for the majority of this, but it's just, but the funny is that Michelle is standing up for herself. And then Jesse, her husband, is like, Kristen, you need to learn, especially when you are trying to start a family. Okay. And that's when Luke's like, let's fucking go, Kristen. Nobody's going to tell my girl how that they're not. And Jax is like, come on, guys. That's not cool to do. Come on, you guys. I like that Jax is like, this is crazy. That's not what we're about here. We're adults in the valley. It's hot here. Come on. And Jesse Lally's like, welcome to the party. No, you welcome to the party. Jesse, you welcome to the party. I'm get heated on this show. Now, Jack says something very interesting because Luke's like, listen, I heard this on the phone. You're not going to take my woman down. I heard this. And Jack says, Janet is very interesting. She's like me. She likes to kind of spew some shit and then she'll sit back and watch them tear it down. I think Janet is a silent killer. Man, that's a t-shirt right there. I think Janet is a silent killer. Jay Taylor. That is rich. Jax Taylor saying Janet is a silent killer. I mean, that is like a scarlet letter that Jax is trying to give Janet. So it's very interesting that Jax throws this out there. Now, unfortunately, Jax is not a reliable narrator. So right off the bat, you got to throw half of that whole statement out the window because it's Jax Taylor. it's so like, do we believe Jax is no offense, Jax, a known liar. So he's saying this, but imagine Jax Taylor saying like, we're a lot alike. You'd be like, oh shit, I've gone wrong somewhere. Um, but I thought that was interesting. And now because we're still getting to know Janet as a character. So this is what's so good about the show. Jax and Chris and Doty being those anchors that we know. And that brings us in. But then when we're in, we got Michelle and Jesse, relationship completely insane. We've got Janet and Jason, and Janet now has been labeled a silent killer by Jax Taylor. I want to know more about that. We've got Daniel and Nia. They're actually just really normal and a beautiful couple. It truly seems like they might just be. I mean, they might need to move. I don't even know if they're Valley material because they seem like truly like they love each other and they're just going through a rough time raising 3 kids under 2 and pumping milk. Just like we got to get that milk production going, babe. So that's amazing. And then you have Jasmine. You have Zach. Zach also he seems like potentially he could be really good. He's really funny, but he also could be an evil henchman. You don't know. The show is so damn good. And then you have Luke. Luke is used to Colorado woods. I don't even know if he had electricity out there, and he's in the big city. He's all this. Imagine this. Imagine you go to a wedding, thinking nothing of it. You barely watch TV. All of a sudden, you meet Chris and Doty. You have sex behind a tent, and then you're in LA in front of cameras. Imagine that. I'm telling you, this Luke has never met a lady like Kristen Doty in his life. His hair must be blown back on the daily. He's probably like, holy shit, I have never experienced anything like this. Like it must just be, talk about like, what's the reverse of dickmatized? Or I don't want to say, but you know what I'm saying? Like he just must be, but just imagine how different that man's life is having acreage in Colorado and now trying to make a show work with cameras in your face, and everybody is coming for Doty because Doty opened his mouth and he has no language of that. He's just getting into like the lore of Vanderpump Rules. And then you have Brittany this whole time. She's like throwing down shots. Like Brittany's like, did great. Ha ha. She's just throwing down shots, which by the way, Maritza keeps bringing up to me is that remember that episode of Vanderpump when Brittany was told she can't drink? It's like hurting her stomach, the GERD, the tequila. Stop doing that. So Brittany's just throwing Brittany. It's like she's at a Hooters right now. She's like at a Hooters on a Friday night. This is like so entertaining for Brittany, but like battle lines are being drawn and so the dinner kind of like Kristen and Luke don't leave, but Kristen goes outside with Zach Wickham, where Jax and Jesse Lally complain about women. They're like, I was here to just do some shots, bitch about my wife. Outside, Kristen's like, I am so beyond disappointed in you, Zach. I don't even fucking know you. I understand that it hurt a lot of people what I said, but I'm not a liar. He's like, you are trying to take zero responsibility. I am taking responsibility for, yes, I had said things to you. And I admitted on camera. And then we flash back to that admission with Kristen and Brittany. And he's like, I'm sorry, but we all said shit behind other people's backs. So you are not fully to blame. I am to blame too. And Doty's just crying, listening. And Doty and I are talking, she's like, I'm not lying about anything. We always lash out at the people close to us. But tonight, what the fuck was that at the table? Kristen, like you literally steamrolled me. You didn't even go after Janet. And that's Janet gets up from the table. And Zach talking to goes, Janet's the instigator of it all. And Janet is like eavesdropping. She's eavesdropping on the Doty Zach conversation. And she has this face like, I'm listening to you. I hear everything you're saying. I'm collecting information. I know where the bodies are buried. So it's interesting. Like you just speculate that potentially like, ooh, are the two big heavies, Janet and Doty? Like, we don't know. That's what's so good. Like we have years and years of Vanderpump stuff that like we know, but this is new. It's exciting. So anyways, Kristen and Zach are coming to some kind of agreement. But Zach's like, Janet is smelling like roses out of this and controlling the entire narrative. And back outside, Janet comes outside. And Kristen's like, I don't think Janet wants to hear any of this. There is a baby she has to protect. And Janet's like, when did you care about that? And so Kristen excuses herself. And Janet's like, you put words in my mouth that are untrue. It's causing, and Kristen's like, it was what was told to me. And Janet's like, it's causing me stress. And Kristen's like, I feel really uncomfortable right now. I feel really comfortable. And Jason is out there going like, hey, this is A to B to C to D. Like, he's being logical about this. And Zach's like, oh my God, your semantics, Jason, are really turning me in right now. I'm going to marry a lawyer. This is what's so funny about the show is that every time they get to like some place where they're going to get information out, somebody like interrupts it with like, oh my God, I want to have sex with you. Oh my God, this is so hot. What you're doing. Like, no, let's focus. Let's focus. Let's take some Adderall and focus, please. So anyways, that dinner ends. I don't know if there's any closure. I've not come to any kind of greater, no greater truth has been acknowledged. So we jet over to Jack's and Britt's house, the old modern day farmhouse. And, we find out that Cruz has a speech delay issue. This is one of those storylines where we actually see the speech therapist come and work with Cruz. And I think that has got to be one of the hardest things about being a parent. I am such a pussy. I was tearing up during that scene. And no matter anything that I joke about with Jax or Brittany, man, I want Cruz to be able to speak. I want his first words, full sentences to be rotten hell. I am fully in support of Cruz. What a cute kid. And I hope everything works out. But I will say, in classic Jax fashion, at one point he bitches. He's like, hey, come on. You can't spend a lot of money at this charity thing. We got classes to pay for. We got this. Classic Jax. But in this scene, Brittany's like, Jax, you're supposed to take me on date night. What's going on there? We need daytime. We need alone time, Jax. And he's like, listen, I got to tell you, the bar takes a lot of my time. I didn't expect it. I should have, but there's a lot going on right now. And Brittany's like, when Jax and I first met, it was awesome. We were having sex all the time, 24/7, in the butt, everything. We didn't miss a day. And then it just changed dramatically. I'm talking like twice in the past year. What? Holy moly. I've said like, I know, I don't know. I know this is puritanical of me, but I don't know if I want to know I know too much about Lindsay and Carl's sex life on Summer House. I know now way too much about Brittany and Jax's sex life. I don't need to know 2 times. Like, I want to keep, can we keep some things secret close to the vest? I will say the other thing too, and I said this in the Patreon today, is they keep switching between 2 talking heads for Brittany in particular. And I feel like the Valley must have been green lit like immediately after Scandal hit of like, okay, we can actually go with this. This could actually work now and we'll air it after, so I think they rushed. I mean, my theory is they rushed into production because even Brittany in the first episode, she's like wearing a bandage around her. It's like, I got face work. It's going to heal up real nice. And you see 2 different talking heads. And then the one talking head is new. It looks like she got this brow lift and there is this, whatever Mary Payne on her podcast explained this to me about what they did on her jawline. So go listen to that because she actually knows a lot about it. I was floored by what she was telling me, but I almost think like the work, she's really pretty and the work did not fully settle yet in some of these talking heads. It's like that when Vicky Gunvalson came back that one season of Real Housewives of Orange County after the facelift too soon. And everybody was like, whoa. So it's like sometimes alarming. And I think it's a bummer because I know Brittany probably really cares about that stuff because she feels her husband isn't attracted to her. And she knows the Bravo audience is, we really pay attention. And I think that's the other thing that makes the Valley work is that you can tell the people in this, it's not like they're wanting to profit off their pain, but it's like they want to have jobs. So there is this sense of watching the Valley that all of the cast want this to work. They want this to work, but I always think of like, be careful what you wish for. It's like, be careful what you wish for. And like, so many things about like how you feel about yourself, having to put yourself on camera. It's all tied up to that. And especially when your husband isn't making you feel sexy, isn't making you feel wanted, potentially makes fun of your weight. And let me remind people that Brittany kept that house going allegedly with her Jenny Craig money. Brittany was the one paying the bills for a long time while Jax was just out there blowing leaves in the backyard, So I don't know. It's one of those interesting things, but I really do think they rushed into production potentially, and thank God they did. But it's another aspect that's interesting to watch. Then we cut to a scene with Jesse and Michelle Lally. And it was a very funny scene because it's one of those things where they seem like they really dislike each other. But the one thing that has brought them together is for like Jesse got a full semi boner watching Michelle stand up for herself with Kristen Doty. He was like, I've never seen you like that. I felt things in my nether regions that I have not felt in so long. And she's like, did you like that? Did you? Oh, that's amazing. I wish you were a movie director. Like it was like this really weird thing where I'm like, oh wow, did this actually help their relationship? This one scene, all it takes is actually being nasty in a fight with people, and that's what like maybe they're that couple that just go and like starts fights with people to keep the spark alive, which is completely valid. Couples do that all the time. We cut it over to Janet and Jason, and that scene includes a flashback with Brittany and Janet talking about Michelle and Dodie's fight. And Brittany's like, Kristen told me, she has information. She could ruin people's lives, but she doesn't want to because she wants to protect her sanity as an empath. And that's what we're dealing with. Like, it's like Dodie has the nuclear codes. And Dodie, like, and just Dodie, Dodie has all the information. So it's this thing of, oh, this cast potentially doesn't want to piss off Dodie too much because she knows where the bodies are buried. So it's going to be this delicate dance of how far can like Dodie knows things. And she's like, I could ruin you, but I feel good right now. I'm having a lot of sex. I'm loving my life. I hope it doesn't get to a place. But we saw her like the first when she told the racist Republican thing out of nowhere. So it doesn't take much for Kristen to reveal things that she shouldn't reveal, and that is a dangerous yet fascinating reality show character. Okay, so we get the crux of this episode too is that they're all going to this event, this Be the Match event, thrown by Jared Lipscomb, who is a survivor, a cancer survivor. And Be the Match actually is something that you guys should really look into. And if you can donate to, I've donated to it in the past. I went to one of their events. Jared Lips is his name on Instagram. You should go support this cause. It is an excellent cause. But I think it's interesting that this is going to be an event on the show where it's like, hey, we're raising, like, by the way, I would have actually donated more to watch a Dodie fight in person. I would be like, 500. I want it. Yes. Yeah. Watch Chris and Dodie fight in your face. A unique experience. We're starting at $500 on the bidding. But it is interesting. So Dodie is telling Luke that this is where we're going. But then Dodie starts talking about Janet. And this is what's interesting. We're starting this narrative. Dodie is pushing with Zach. She says, Janet, me and Zach are pawns in Janet's game. Janet loves shit talking, the planting of the seeds, the lighting of the match, and walking away. That's what happened. So Dodie, that is a big statement. Now, Janet is going to be on Watch What Happens Live for the first time on Tuesday with Ali Dali, Ali Luba. So I'm sure Janet will talk about this, but we got a battle brewing, man. It's wild. But this narrative of Janet really, and I did say I said, I've always thought of Janet as an operator because I know Janet. But I meant that as a compliment. I just meant as she's somebody that connects people. You know, she's always been really great. And I don't like to think of any, it's like weird when you kind of meet I don't think of Janet. I think she's really nice. And if she is this way, I don't personally see it. And I think this is what's interesting is the show would have to prove this. Dodie would have to prove this. But it is interesting that this is a narrative that is starting to play out. So I'm so curious, but I think Janet is super smart. And like I said, in previous recaps, Janet's not insane. And I'm not saying Dodie is insane at all, but I'm saying Janet has a good head on her shoulders. So she understands things happening around her. And I don't think that makes her necessarily a manipulator. I just think she's pays attention. So we cut to Daniel, Jesse Lally, and Jax. They're going to the fair with the kids. I got to say, Michelle and Jesse Lally's daughter, Isabella, is so cute. The kids are all really cute, but they got all the kids in the minivan, and Jax is like, Dodie says she's going to a therapist. Huh, what kind of therapist is that? I'd like to, that therapist should never work again. Jax has never set foot in a therapist's office. So it is funny when he's like, I know therapy, man. And Kristen is not therapized. I'll tell you that much right now. So they get to the fair. The kids are running around, just eating things off the floor, and they're gonna have some man talk. And Jack's like, "How's everything going, Jesse? Is therapy? How's it going? Is it good?" And we flash back to last week with the therapist where we talked about like, when's the last time you were sexually attracted to him? And she's like, I don't want to answer that. He's like, Jax, right now it is bad. What do you mean it's bad? He's like, don't touch her. Don't make comments about her ass because she said she was like uncomfortable when I said how hot she was. And Jax is like, wait, she doesn't like you giving her comments about her ass? And he's like, we are so far past the compliment thing that she feels like when I say it, they're fake. And Jax is like, I'm dealing with the opposite. I don't do it enough. In a talking head, he's like, I think it's safe to say the romantic spark with me and Brittany is just not there right now. I'll take blame. Yeah, I let the spark fizzle. It's just not fair to either one of us. Especially it's not fair to my wife. She deserves to have a man be loving to her. I mean, that's a dark talking head where she's like, she's right. She deserves it. It's not going to be me. Hey, next batter up. You know what I'm saying? Like this is, I mean, if I was Brittany and I watched that talking head, I would have been fucking livid. That's him going, yeah, I'm not doing it. Hey, my fault. Let the seed die. Anyways, on to the next one. It was so cold. She deserves to be loved. I'd like to see somebody touch her. Not going to be me. Tell you that much right now, brother. I love that my Jax really is turning into a WWE wrestler. You name the time and place, brother. I'm going to be there. Jax's Saloon. She deserves to have a man be loving to her. Sure as hell ain't going to be me. I ain't going to therapy like Dodie. You see what it did to her? Daniel Bucco, the nice guy, is like, hey, have you guys done the love language test? And these guys are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Love language test? That sounds gay as hell, dude. And Daniel's like, until you know what your other person's needs are, what their love language are, you may never be showing them the love that they actually are deserving. And Jackson's like, Jesus, God, what are you? All I hear is this yapping coming out of your mouth, Daniel. And Jackson's like, I'm lacking the intimacy part, I guess. I feel like we got to schedule it, and they're like, that's not fun. He goes, I remember when Brittany was pregnant, we were making jokes like, oh, like we're never going to have sex again. I'm not going to lie. It has been a little bit of an issue because, your sex life, your marriage kind of take a back seat when you have a child. It's a big deal. I don't want it to become a bigger deal, but I do refuse to touch her. I'm not going to do it. Nope, not with my dick. I'll tell you that much right now. And then Jesse goes, hey, back in the day, I used to put hot wax on Michelle's back. I like that he's like, I used to slap her around and she would let me. I used to rough her up. Sexually, she wanted sex all the time. Like I just like, she used to let me really degrade her and no, she will no longer let me do that. What's the deal? Hey, what's the deal with women? Am I right, bros? And this Daniel, he really seems like this caring, good guy. So sometimes I'm like, Daniel, what are you doing there, brother? Like, what do you see? I mean, is male companionship this important? And then Jackson's like, hey, sometimes we would have sex 2-3 times a day, and now we got to schedule it. And I'll be like, oh, shit, it's that time again? Oh, shit, I got to pay that bill again? Oh, God. I'd rather watch The Goonies again. You know what I'm talking about, fellas? It's really wild. So then we cut to this scene with Dodie and Luke, and they're at dinner. It's this kind of romantic thing, and you really start to get a clearer picture on what their relationship is about. And by that, I mean the old hippity dippity. These people do not have to schedule sex because they are just constantly having sex. She's like, we get home, sex, smoke weed, sex. I mean, it is like a sexy Cheech and Chong over at Dodie and Luke's place. I mean, and then I find out Luke's 32. I had no idea he was young. And then I'm just like, this guy's like, yeah, let me put it in. Yeah. What the? He's just like, oh shit. She is, I mean, the sexual chemistry, I don't like to picture it, but like, it just seems like that is the nucleus of their relationship. Okay, we're going to do an activity, then sex. We're going to watch some TV, then sex. We'll go to the store, then sex. I mean, this is wild. And what's interesting too, I hope they stay together, but it'll be interesting to see if that peters off over the seasons or if like, it's like Larsa where it's like, no, me and Marcus 4 to 5 times in a session, which by the way, did you see Larsa, Pippen and Marcus on the beach together today? God, these nutty kids, they'll never learn. So yeah, I know way too much also about Dodie and Luke's sex life now, but it seems to really revolve around the old hippity dippity. So we cut back and forth to Daniel's house back to this dinner because Daniel, this Luke, he doesn't just like to bone. he also likes to romanticize Kristen. So he set up this thing where Daniel is going to go over to their apartment and they're going to set up like flowers and a massage table. So there's going to be a whole seduction scene after this dinner that Luke can take Kristen in. He knows she's a sure thing, but he wants to romance her. He's whining and dining her. Then he's going to take her back and do the other stuff. And Daniel is going to go over with Brittany and they're going to like lay out flowers and do all of this stuff. But the conversation with Kristen and Luke go to, where do we want to raise a family? I live in Colorado and I love Dodie, just like an empath. She's like, I can't leave. I can't leave California. I like that California is, she's like, California, California, here Dodie comes. I sound like Tom Sandoval. But she's like, I am so called to the land here. I can't leave tomorrow or next year or the year after, but I think giving it a couple of years. And Luke's like, what? And she's like, I moved 3 times in a year and a half. And Luke's like, it is too much, babe. It is. And she says, I'm not married to living in LA. I know that's Luke's non-negotiable. And Luke's like, yeah, no part of me wants to live in LA, but I'm trying to get Luke to flirt with the idea of staying in California. Luke points out a 3-year-old's preschool tuition is what I paid for college tuition. It is insane out here. But Kristen says, hey, California is really important to me. And she's like, I need a minute to breathe right now. And Luke's like, I understand, babe. Can we still have sex later? She's like, yeah. So Brittany and Daniel get over there and Brittany's like, oh my God, you got flowers. We're going to do this. Yeah. And they got a massage table. The whole seduction scene is set. It's really weird. They go in and Luke's dog, Jill. Luke's dog is a huge dog. Like I was just like, oh no, this is going to be potentially a bad scene. Going to tear Daniel apart. So they start setting up this seduction scene. And Daniel and Brittany are setting this up and they're like little rose petals and they got those like the candles lit, but it's like the fake electronic candles. And the dogs are just like watching. And I just imagine like how often these dogs are watching, you know, Dodie and Luke go to the Bone Zone. And these poor dogs, like they, you know, ASPCA needs to be called potentially or something. And they're like, oh my God, they're coming home. And Brittany's like, oh my gosh, let's do it. Get out of here. Go. Thankfully, we don't have a scene where we see Kristen and Luke go to Pound Town. Like we don't see it. Like, but there's a massage table out there. Well, the bed's like 5 feet away. The massage table, which we find later that they did it on in the living room. That can't be good for like food, like preparation, because it's so close to the kitchen. But just like that's what I'm talking about. It's like a Skinamax movie over there. This Luke is Luke is just vaginamatized. Luke is just like, holy shit, she's letting me make love to her. She's letting me make love to her on a massage table. Count me in. Maybe California isn't that bad. It is just like the Titanic in there. Sorry. Anyways, we cut to Jason and Janet and Jackson Brittany in a car on the way to the Be the Match fundraiser for Jared. And Janet's talking about how much they can spend tonight and 2,500. And then Jackson's like, hey, let's talk about that, Brittany. And Jackson's like, Brittany goes, I'll spend my money. You can spend your money. And Jackson's like, we got a child that has to go to school. Okay. We have a budget. And I don't think we should go over 2. All right. We have multiple speech classes right now that are $150 an hour. Please come on. And Brittany's like, I'm looking forward to tonight because I'm here to support Be the Match. Raise a bunch of money, right? And Jackson's kind of like, oh my God. He has like the jack off motion. Jackson's like, oh God, what's the question? And Brittany's like, I mean, 2,000 and 2,500, that's a lot of money, right? But I like that Jax is just like, not with your money. You're not spending that. No way. They get to there. It's at the Screwball Cultural Center, and it looks like a beautiful soiree. Everybody's like nicely dressed. There's hors d'oeuvres being passed, and Jackson's like, mac and cheese balls, brother. All right. Brittany takes one and just shoves it in her mouth, and she's like, I'm hungry, Jax. I'm hungry. Jesse Lally gets there, and it looks like Picasso shit all over his dinner coat. It's one of the wildest coats, but you can tell he's really proud of it. He's like, this is class. This is style. This is Capri, baby. And so he's really hopped up on his coat. But everybody's talking about like, hey, I don't know how Dodie's going to be, what kind of energy she's going to bring in, what is going to be the vibe. And Dodie and Luke gets there, but Dodie's already making excuses, saying Jill, Luke's dog, has diarrhea. And Brittany's like, I did once too. Stingrays. I'm going to tell you in the next episode. So Dodie already has like an exit plan strategized. Dodie also says, I think she accidentally ate something. And it would be great if Sandoval was just placing his laxative pills in all of his ex's places. Like, I don't know. Jill the dog ate 500 laxative pills. I don't even know. I don't even have laxative pills. I haven't had them since Sandoval. Oh my God, it's him, isn't it? So Dodie's relaying the story of how she's going to have to leave to Brittany. And Michelle's there and is like, there's just no reason for us to talk to each other. I keep thinking to myself, charity event, good cause. So I hope that Kristen doesn't want to ruin another night, you know? So everybody goes to their table. Daniel and Nia get there, a beautiful couple. Like, I'm telling you, this is like the golden child couple where you're like, oh, I'm just so like, I don't worry about them. Like, I worry about them in the sense that I want them to have a good life, if that makes sense. When we're sitting down to the table at eat, everybody's kind of spread out, but Zach is talking to Jesse and Michelle Lally eating, and Zach is almost negotiating an apology from Kristen Doty. He's like, I know she wants to give you one, okay, and we're going to start at the bargain price of no. She's like, I know we all deserve an apology. I know, and Zach's like, listen, as somebody who cares for Kristen, I got to take the reins. Right now, it's very fractured between her and Michelle and Jesse. And maybe if I just kind of push them all together to have a conversation, they can actually mend that friendship. He tells Jesse, I'm just saying, I think you guys should talk. And Jesse's in his like Picasso jacket. He's like, okay. Like, this guy needs a pipe or something, you know? I'm sorry, you guys. I keep trying to do this, and then I keep taking breaks to read like Taylor Swift news. And this kook Taylor just announced that she tweets, it's a 2 a.m. surprise. It turns out the Tortured Poets album is a double album. This is insane. It's a secret double album now. She says, I'd written so much tortured poetry in the past 2 years and wanted to share it all with you. So here's the second installment of the Tortured Poets Department, the anthology, 15 extra songs. Oh my God. She's just going to make everybody broke. What did she do? Just throws out 15 more songs, surprise at 2 a.m. Kids are going to be zombies tomorrow. I'm worried about people on the road. That is wild. And I have not been able to listen to it yet because I am here with you guys gladly talking about Kristen Doty ovulating on a massage table. Because that's what Nia goes. And Nia goes, how was it last night? I heard there was a massage table. And she's like, Doty's like, yeah, I didn't get a massage. I was ovulating. Amazing. Luke's like, hell yeah. Jax goes, do you think that's it? Do you think you got knocked up? Jax, do you think there were swimmers? Do you think they got in there? Huh? Yeah? Do we feel good about it? And Kristen's like, I don't know. Hey. Anyways, Janet asks Michelle, tell us your love story, which is bad when you realize a couple hates each other. And they said, we had an office together. It was supposed to just be a date night. And, let's do a date, so I know you're not crazy. And at the date, he didn't ask me one question. He didn't say one word. And I said, okay, I'm not going to take him seriously. I'm just going to have fun with him, Michelle says. And so I text him at midnight, come over now. What? You booty called the guy in the Picasso jacket? In a talking head, she says, I knew he was not the one, but I was very attracted to him. I canceled our first date. I ended up going out partying with my girlfriends, getting super drunk, and I wanted a booty call. So I was like, I'm just going to call this guy. And Jesse goes, I walked in and immediately took off her jean shorts, and we've been together ever since. She doesn't like you, dude. Even the story is a story of like, I was horned up and I had like literally the first number in my phone. I took off her jean shorts. What are you, a middle school? I took off her jean shorts. My God. I almost felt like expecting him to go up for like high fives at the table. That meet cute made me so sad. Anyways, they raise a lot of money for Jared's amazing charity, which is awesome. Truly, that is the incredible part of the night. But Zach's like, can we chat for a moment? I feel like tonight is a positive night, and I feel like I just pulled you two together, that it would be a good idea for all us to talk. So Zach says this to Jesse Lally and Michelle Lally. And Jesse's like, as soon as she comes back with my margarita, I'm happy to talk whenever you want. The margarita comes, and Zach's like, Kristen, please, I'm trying to help you. Please, let's talk real quick. Kristen says, I love Michelle so much. So if this one last conversation is going to be dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and calling it a day, I'm willing to try. I'm an empath. I love California. I'm willing to do almost anything to make amends. So Michelle and Jesse go outside. And Michelle's like, Jesse, let's just try to relax and not just let her speak. And Jesse's like, I'm plenty relaxed. I am in a Picasso jacket. So Kristen Doty comes out. Zach comes out. And Kristen kind of has that like eerie Kristen smile. Like, like she's disassociating, but in there at the same time. And she goes up to Michelle. She goes, I love you very, very much. And I know how harmful like words can be. So true, Kristen, when they're put on you, when they're completely not true. I said something that I shouldn't have repeated it. And Michelle goes, and I think that's also why we're upset, because you kept saying the word repeated and everybody is denying the comment, which is so funny because we're not even getting deeper to ever find out what was actually said. And Kristen's like, Jasmine, oh, sorry, Michelle. And Jesse goes, oh my fucking God. Forget it, Jesse says, forget it. Are you fucking kidding me? Jesus Christ. And Jesse walks in. And Kristen's like, you're upset because I'm saying the word repeated, but like, I feel like we did sit down at dinner. Everyone sort of owned it. I apologize too. I'm re-apologizing to you, Michelle. That's all. I wanted you to know. And you can tell she's slurring a little bit. I just want you to know I'm sorry. That's it. You don't have to accept it. I just want you to know. And Michelle's like, okay. I do need space, Kristen. I meant it. We're trying to figure out how to forgive or forget or anything. Jesse comes out now. He's like, I just threw a tantrum. I'm back out. And Kristen's like, I just want you to believe me that I'm sorry. And she's like, I believe that you need some help. Whoa, damn. And then Doty goes, I've been going to therapy for 9 years, so I have help. Michelle goes, I don't believe anything she says in a talking head. I can maybe agree to coexist with Kristen, but that's as far as it's going to go. By the way, I'm doing it way more active than Michelle. Michelle's so like mellow. And then Zach's like, Kristen's like walking out. I was like, do you and Jesse want to talk, Kristen? And Kristen's like, oh yeah, Jesse, Michelle means a lot to me. And I'm sorry that as your family and your wife, the girl that you took off her jean shorts, that I hurt her and disrespected her, especially in your home. And he goes, let me ask you a question, Kristen. Is it worth to continue to do this shit over and over again? And Kristen's like, to do what? Be a reality star? To make comments and be involved and get in the middle. The stress. I was very stressed out, Kristen. I'm sure you were too. I know some of the things I said to you were very hurtful. I apologize for that. And I apologize to Luke as well. But you guys, just don't be in the middle of everything. And just be cool. Like my jacket. And I think we'll be fine. In a talking head, he's like, look, I'm an adult with a child, with a career, with a wife that hates me, with a million other problems. I don't want this roundabout with Kristen. Can we just move on? I want to go to Capri. And then they're like, okay, let's all go get a drink, right? And Kristen's like, I'm going to go home. Dog has the shits. Okay, until next time. And Zach, they walk off, and Zach to Kristen goes, I think that went good. Do you? I don't think that went good at all. Michelle literally goes, I think you're nuts. I think you need help. And that's the end of this episode. Whew.